So we'll probably get a bit heavy. It's going to get a bit heavy, and then we'll just have a basic. I'll throw out some stats. We're just going to have a little think about that, and then just open forum and just talk about some thoughts, feelings from every perspective. But yeah, so I had a little delve over the weekend because I was really interested as all those stories came up about recent suicides and rates of children. And that in itself like shook me when Jane messaged. I was really like taken aback. I don't have children personally. But it's not okay. It's not okay. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be a thing. It should not be on any child's radar that should be their only option. So it shook me, and I went digging basically. And the first article I found was from The Independent, and it was during lockdown, so recent again, which is lovely for recent stats, but not lovely because of what's contained in this information. Is that basically there had been 25 likely suicides of children during the first 56 days of lockdown in March and April. Compared with, guys, it's okay because it's just compared with the 82 days before, as if that's not bad enough. There was 26 in the 82 days before. Like, that makes it okay. So we're looking at within less than half a year, that is like over 50 children that in my eyes have been veiled. That there was not anything in place for, basically. So after that I was thinking, okay, so they were recent-ish stats. But that's not global stats, that's not anything along those lines. So then I was thinking, okay, we'll hop over to some of the charities and see what they're saying. So NSPCC were letting us know that 164 suicides of 15 to 19 year olds were in 2012. And then I hopped over to the Samaritans website, where I originally first saw this stat before I saw the previous one. And the rate for females under 25 has increased by 93.8% since 2012. And that was last year. That was pre-COVID. That was pre the increase that we had just seen. So I read that and I was just like, okay. So over the weekend, I've just really, that hit hard. And I was thinking, how is this not a thing? How is there no massive compilation of all of these statistics and data? Why are people not talking about this? Like, why is it just one comes up in the news and people go, oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Oh, it must have been something bad in their family, or oh, that wouldn't happen to my child. Like, why is that a thing? So yeah, I just kind of want to open forum and get you guys' thoughts on that. And
that was my first thing, and I'm sure Lisa, you'll have something to say along these lines, because I know that you guys, it's good we've got a nice blend because we're both mums. You guys aren't mums. Doesn't really make a difference. It's unacceptable, whatever your standpoint is. Well, my first reaction to that was, why have you had to go digging for this? Why is it something you'd have to research rather than something that is literally on the forefront of everybody's minds? Why are these statistics not out there as a, I don't understand. And why, when you have gone looking for it, is, like you said, your initial response was, oh, well, it's all right, it's not too bad because this year it was this. Like, it's a justification. I find it absolutely mind-boggling that's the thing.
Well, I had a text message on, well, inbox message, whatever they call them, Facebook message from last night, dead stressed. Apparently he'd spoken to school, and it's like, well, he says, well, what can I do? And I said, well, I can contact CAMS. And I thought, well, they're not going to see him, and that referral will take too long, and they've already seen him, and it doesn't make a difference. School are fantastic. I've got to admit, school are brilliant. And so the teacher spoke to them this morning. I rang, did a check with them, like they did in lockdown. They used to ring me every couple of days and do a welfare check on them both. And I thought, you know something, there isn't actually anybody. I'd ring, I'd say to him, right, this is the number for Samaritans, or this is the number for such and such. There's a number. Tell them that I've asked you and I've told you to ring them. And right, okay, and he did that. But with autistic, it's completely different. He doesn't talk like and yap on. It might sound like he does, but he doesn't talk openly as much as he would. So getting him to do that is I just don't know how I'd go about doing. I have told him to message you, Jane, and speak to you, and I said you'd be able to go through things with him.
We can give him a nudge and we can put him in the right direction. This is the whole point of Black Dog Juniors, is so that we've got that facility there so that we can pick it up and we can bridge the gap. But you're Lisa, you're like me, your kids are your like that. For you to actually give the numbers in the first place is parenting done right, as far as I'm concerned.
But you've also hit the nail on the head, haven't you? So previous to this session, that is one of the exact points that I was raising with Jane, is people are forgetting people like yourself, that one, yes, great, you're supportive, that's lovely, but there's nothing there to support you in supporting. Like that's
exactly.
the case.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to the stats, just to throw that out again, more than 1/3 of children, 36%, were in contact with mental health or social services within with 24% or 6 individuals having a diagnosis of autism or ADHD, and that was from the stats of those that had passed away or taken their lives during COVID.
Really?
No, but they didn't mention this on the news, did they? They mentioned a couple of times that parents maybe didn't have care and that they were having to 24/7 care and didn't have that additional respite and stuff like that, and everyone else can do that. But they weren't mentioning what actually happens when they don't have that care, were they? They were just highlighting, oh no, you've got to look after your own children, making it almost seem like parents weren't wanting to take care of their own children. That is not the case. They're forgetting actually, like it's a full-time job, as well as having a full-time job, as well as running a house, as well as having your own problems about lockdown, about having to try and manage to get food shopping, all of these things going on at the same time, but they are not raising the correct points, in my opinion. And that, a third.
Plus the services are out there. They're there, but at the moment they're not there. And we've got to realise as well is, yes, they're working from home or they're working remotely, but if we go on lockdown again, they're working remotely with their own children in the background, and they're trying to look after them. How can they help your child's mental health when they're struggling to look after their children because they're stressed? And you know what I mean, you feel a bit guilty kind of putting even more pressure on them when they're obviously going to be struggling as well. It's like you think to yourself, oh well, you know what I mean, you can cope, you can carry on, but you know what I mean, it's
a massive culture at the moment, isn't it, that you don't want to burden anyone else because you're fully aware that everyone's in the same boat, but at the same time sometimes you need someone, and at the moment that someone is no one because everybody's got their own thing, haven't they? But
we've got that stiff upper lip mentality still, haven't we? Which is obviously, it serves us well, you know, it does. We are resilient, generally speaking, but then that's not good when we need support, we need help. It's hard enough to actually cry out and ask for help, but then to do that and find that you're just shouting in an empty room, there's nothing actually there. It's soul destroying, isn't it? There has to be something. There's got to be something to fill that gap, and some conversations, because there's such a big need. And you can see from the statistics, you can see from conversations all over the place, that it's a desperate situation, and yet it doesn't seem to be the priority. And I can't understand why. I really can't.
But Lisa, it's okay, because we're here to tell you that it is a priority and we won't stand for it, and there will be a change, because enough is enough. Like, we have had enough. We're going to make a change. There's going to be a change. We don't know quite exactly how it's going to pan out yet, but today's a new day and it's starting from here.
The thought process was, we've got our Monday sessions, which will be like, we want to keep Monday sessions as they are, Black Dog Project sessions for usually over 18s, anyone that needs support. You've jumped on here before, we've been on here a few times, and it will just be a place to vent, a place to get some support, some ideas, just adults being able to actually have that time to think, this is what I'm going through at the moment. Anything you need, some signposting, that's one thing, but there's still that big gap for our young people, isn't there? Which is why Black Dog Juniors is coming into play, and you're helping us to run that. So the suggestions have been so far that we do a Friday. I was just saying to Kitty, if we do a Friday where the kids have been at school all week, they've been through whatever they've been through, they need to decompress, they need a space to go. And this isn't like the youth clubs that we're doing. The youth clubs, there's a lot of self-esteem and confidence and resilience within that, within play and within fun. This is more specific, identity. We need to cover things like sexuality and bullying and sort of
consent,
anxiety,
all of those things.
All of the more difficult subjects that obviously
the ones that people don't want to talk about. Basically,
and
we want to talk about those things.
It might not be appropriate for us in a youth tribe session, for example, to really talk about some of those deeper subjects with the whole cohort, but there might be some people that really need that. So we're going to have that session specifically Black Dog Juniors to have that real safe space where everybody can get the support they need. And how that looks, we want parents to help us shape it, and any professionals out there, so that we know it's filling the gap, and actually it's what people need, not just what we think people need. So it might change, it might sort of morph a little bit depending on what we get from the public. But I think Zoom, like we're doing now, would be good. One of the things that I thought about, which Kitty you'll probably help with, is I want it to be safe. Like we've always said, cameras off, mics off if you want to. However, with it being for children, I think we need to make sure at the beginning of a session we have cameras on, so we can make sure we're dealing with children. And then cameras off, just so that's one of the things that immediately I thought we
need to factor in a way of signing up with obviously parental consent and things, but then we also need to factor in an alternative and a way of doing it that maybe children that haven't got the ability to gain that consent, we need to find a way around that, because the question is that they're not getting that support with maybe
doing a thing in Cardiff, and the first Zoom call we did, because normally when lockdown's over, when everything's finished, it'll be once a month, he'll be going down to Cardiff, and a parent has to go with him. But on the first, at the beginning of a session on Zoom, he has to have a parent with him, because it's a youth film thing that he's been nominated to do, and be a youth representative for film and television. But I have to be there at the beginning, and then I have to be there at the end, and just to make sure that they are able to do it. And you know what I mean,
it's almost like signing someone off for a school trip, isn't it? Like the equivalent of signing a letter and saying, right, I am approved, I know this is going on, I
kind of waved and then went bye.
I suppose, like you say, Kit, for the young people out there who don't have parental
we need
support,
to find something, don't we?
What happens if that's their problem? If their problem is they're having a really tough time at home, they haven't got the support, how do we
maybe then try to infiltrate through schools potentially, and see if there's a system for an advocate, like you'd have an advocacy system for mental health. Maybe there's somewhere through school where a teacher or an advisor of some sort can step in there. Like that might
I know there's a youth club that I can go to. Doesn't go as much, but it may do soon. They've been going there since they were year 7, and it's a local youth club, and they have computers, and you might know him from the pop. He works very closely with high school, and he works with the bullying, anti-bullying, and he works very, very closely with them. And I don't know whether they'd like to get involved, where the young children can maybe go in a room and have a chat sort of thing, because that's still on. You have to book which days you go, but it's they book in the parents book in the morning, or the child does, and they book and goes on a Wednesdays. But for anybody who goes on the days that you're doing these things, maybe it might be. And I know the children that go there, and I know it'd probably be very, very helpful. So some of them have, issues with the sexuality and things like that, and a bit of depression. I think that's why it's quite close to the old chat. So I don't know if you want me to try and get involved with you.
Brilliant.
I think that's amazing. Yeah,
that'd be great. I feel like really as well with the. No, I was going to say I've got a link in with the ESWs, the education social workers, as well, through one of our mutual friends. So if we can make links with those guys, they're going into the houses, they're going into the situations that we need to connect with. So that's another help.
That's going to be the important bit. Like what we need to try and aim to do is to try and source things that already exist and boost those things and push those things to people's attention, because they already exist, they're already established, they've got the relevant professionals, and then we can start looking in and filling in the gaps rather than trying to completely create this whole new thing.
Duplication is silly, isn't it? When
exactly, 100%. That's always someone's role, that's someone's expertise, that's someone's that's what they do. Need to help support them to do it and make sure we fill in those gaps to make sure that people are aware it exists. So that's exactly what we need. Just any new links, ties. Anything
else you can think of. Because Meg, you're Wirral, got North Wales and Wirral. So if any of us between us, and you're just at the other end of the country completely, Kit, aren't you? But if between us we can think of any ideas of any things that already do exist, even if it's national things, just compiling a list, isn't it? Compiling a list of all our resources and signposting, and local and national, that'd be a good starting point, I think. And I've set up a poll as well on Black Dog Juniors. So anyone that's on Black Dog Juniors, if you're already, there's a poll, because I just put the 14 things that usually come up. I just want to see what people think is the biggest thing at the moment. And the last time I checked an hour ago, it was behaviour. Behaviour was coming up top, with depression just behind it, I think.
It's as well, it's like there's so many things that we can teach, like education wise, with that, and the obviously about how behavior comes into play and what is a response to, and if you're addressing the original problem, then the behavior naturally just sorts itself out, and we know that, but children do not know that. Parents don't necessarily know that all the time.
And not all
actually
teachers know it. Not all teachers know it. In my experience going to schools, task avoidance, very naughty behavior as task avoidance is a clear indicator to me of some kind of trauma, but these kids are just kind of, you're just naughty.
And on the flip side, we spoke about that, and sometimes teachers look at it as an internal thing of, oh, I'm obviously not doing my job properly, and take it as a them problem rather than a child problem. Like, there's so many ways around it, and there's things that we need to highlight and factor in, and working in some of the stuff with Soul School that we were building into what we're doing with all of these projects, and it all links together really, really nicely, and it's like pulling some of our own resources and everybody's professional skills and making it work.